General, Ectoplasm, Exposition, and Knowledge Society. That is who we are. With my friends, Kelley.
I just wanted to thank everyone for all their thoughts and prayers for me going through this cancer battle. As you can tell, I'm on a break. My chemotherapy. I grown some hair back. I don't know what they're going to hit me with next, but I'd appreciate it if you could please keep me in your thoughts and prayers still. I can't wait to announce my remission. What I'm going to be talking to you guys about is E.P.P Castle. E.P.P Castle in Ireland. Now I'm going to use terms because I'm not there in the evidence. I see the evidence firsthand, so I'm going to use terms like, theory, because to me, unless the evidence is presented to me personally or I'm there seeing it, it's all theory. So if you hear me use that term, that's why. So here we go. Now, E.P.P Castle was originally, it's ranging from the 13th to the late 15th century when it was actually built, and most likely around 1250 AD. It was built by the O'Bannon clan. It was originally called Lim Uhanan. Apologize to anybody who speaks the Irish. I have a feeling I murdered that. My apologies. Basically what that means is Leap of the O'Bannons. They were the secondary chieftain of the territory and were subject to the ruling O'Carroll clan. Now there is evidence that constructed on the same site as other ancient stone structures, perhaps ceremonial in nature, and that area has been occupied consistently since at least the Iron Age, 500 BC, or possible since Neolithic times. Now the Annals of the Four Feathers record that the Earl of Kildare, Gerald Fitzpatrick, tried unsuccessfully to seize the castle in 1513. 3 years later, he attacked the castle again and managed to partially demolish it. However, by 1557, the O'Carroll clans regained possession. Following the death of Malrunia O'Carroll in 1532, family struggles plagued the O'Carroll clan. A fierce rivalry for the leadership erupted within the family. The bitter fight for power turned brother against brother. One of the brothers was a priest while he was holding mass for a group of his family in what is now called the Bloody Chapel. His rival brother burst into the chapel and plunged his sword into him, fatally wounding him. The butcher priest fell across the altar and died in front of his family. In 1659, the castle passed by marriage into ownership of the Darby family, notable members of which include the Vice Admiral George Darby, Admiral Sir Darby, and John Nelson Darby. By the time the castle was owned by Jonathan Charles Darby, his wife Mildred Darby wrote Gothic novels and held seances. Now y'all know, friends, anytime you mess with powers like that, you're bound to conjure something, and it's not good. This led publicly about the castle and its ghosts. The central keep was later expanded with significant extensions. However, in order to pay for these extensions, rents were raised and much of the occupying land was sold. This is one theorized motivation for the burning of the castle during the Irish Civil War in 1922. Now, in 1974, the castle was bought by an Australian historian, Peter Bartlett, whose mother had been abandoned. Bartlett, together with Joe Sullivan, did an extensive restoration work on the castle up to the time of his death in 1989. The castle has been featured in several editions of The Riders by Australian author Tim Winston. Now, it's theorized that there are quite a few ghosts in E.P.P Castle. There's a young girl ghost that is spotted several times, as well as the elemental. Now, if you've read anything about elementals and done research, you know that they can kill, they can possess you, they can do all kinds of damage. And they're not known for being benevolent. Now, in 1909, again with Mildred Darby, she wrote an article for the journal Occult Review. In her article, she described the paranormal being she had met. She said was standing in the gallery when she felt someone pull her hand and on her shoulder. Actually, what touched her was more of a something than a somebody. The thing was about the size of a sheep. She said it was thin, gaunt, shadowy. It had a face, and its eyes, which seemed to be half decomposed in black cavities, stared into hers. There was a horrible smell coming from the thing. She thought it smelled like a decomposing corpse. People who are familiar with the dark arts said that Mildred had awakened an elemental, which is thought to be some kind of primitive ghost. Nonetheless, the Darbys lived in the E.P.P Castle until 1922. That was when the Irish fought for independence from England. The castle, being the home of an English family, was a prime target. It was bombed, looted, only a fire-gutted shell remained. Of course, the Darbys had to leave. Now, there's always the forgotten. Oubliette is basically, it means to forget. In 1922, workers assigned to restoring the castle found an oubliette. This was a small dungeon. Its name comes from French word oublier, which means to forget. And again, I apologize if I mispronounced any of that. The oubliette was just beginning the wall, 8 feet through the floor. At the bottom, there were spikes. If they were lucky, they would be impaled and died quickly. Otherwise, basically, you starved to death, forgotten by whomever sent you there, into the room. The oubliette was full of human skeletons. It took 3 cartloads to remove the grisly discovery. Now, in 1970s, the Australian who bought E.P.P Castle, he invited a white witch from Mexico to drive the spirits of the castle. After many hours, parley with the specters in the bloody castle, she announced that the spirits would not cause any further trouble, but they insisted on remaining in the castle. In the 1990s, the castle was bought by the current owners, Sean Ryan, a well-known musician, and his wife. In May of 2002, they found a ghost of an old man sitting in a chair by the fireplace downstairs. They were not in the least surprised. With so many ghosts around, one more would not make any difference, so they just wished the apparition a good day and went about their daily routine. It is possible that the ghosts of E.P.P Castle have decided to leave the living in peace. A few years earlier, in 1991, they held a christening of their daughter in the Bloody Chapel. For the first time in many hundreds of years, the place was filled with the sound of music and laughter. It was said to be a happy, pleasant, wonderful day. Anyone looking for spirits should consider a visit to E.P.P Castle. There is no lodging offered at the castle, but visitors can spend a few nights at the nearby hotels while they explore the castle. Now, you also remember Barry Fitzgerald of Ghost Hunters also mentioned that it's theorized that when the elemental comes, there's a drop in barometric pressure. It's very interesting. It's definitely on my to-do list of places I want to go really bad. Well, if you have any suggestions on what you would like to see us do any research on or go, please let us know. You can find us on Twitter or on Instagram. You can drop us a line. You can even go to our Facebook page. If ever there was people that deserved an apology, the English government needs to apologize to the Irish for their scorched earth, the basic, back in that period, basic almost extermination. You can classify it in the books, in the history books. Oubliette. Oubliette. Oh my goodness, I cannot pronounce. It was constructed to theorize consistently. Excuse me while I learn how to speak again.